UFC 311, welcome everybody to Winning in the Shadows. I'm Andy, that's Jim. We're going to be breaking down all the fights for UFC 311. We're out of the Apex into the big one. We've got some specials coming up that we're going to tell you about. But hit the like button. You guys know about that. And then make sure you join our Discord. A lot of good stuff going on there. A lot of great bets. A lot of good back and forth. It's like-minded people treat their bankroll like a business. So make sure you take advantage of that. I will put a link in the description. Welcome, everyone. UFC 311. Andy and Jim are here to break down all the fights, and we will get right into it. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Tell us your best bet for tonight. And if you don't have a hot take or a good comment, just type the word champs. We got a couple championships on the line in this card. So it just helps the algorithm, helps boost our rating and everything. So
I have high expectations for that comment, by the way. High expectations in the comment section.
Jim is a little bit under the weather, so if you see him pause and dip his head off screen, that's what's going on. So no worries. All right, let's get right into it, Jim. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. Who you like in this one?
Well, we're going right to Dagestan right off the bat with this card.
Yeah, no time to waste.
Look, we liked Clayton Carpenter. This is going to be a little bit too much for him. I know he's a good grappler and he's a good wrestler, but what we've seen from Tagir is these are the type of guys that he handles. I kind of want no part on the side. I think it's a little steep. I'd be interested in parlaying the total. There is that submission chance. There is that chance that we get, slipping on a banana peel. I really am upset. I wish we would have got that Josh Van fight. That I really did want to see. I just don't know if Carpenter can test Tagir in the stand-up as well. Now, granted, Van was probably going to end up on his back as well. So I see this fight going to the decision. I'm not really interested in betting it to start the night. I think this is a great gauge of the judging. So if you want to keep your money in your pocket to start the night, see what the judges score. If we get a close fight, we can get kind of an idea of what we're going to be looking at to start it.
Yeah, my notes are that just Ulanbekov he's just a little bit too complex on the ground. His movement, he's going to be quicker, and you don't hear this word a lot, but he's going to be a lot more flexible than Clayton Carpenter, which allows him to get in and out of moves a little bit easier. The experience is going to be a massive difference. Guy's got 17 pro fights with Carpenter's 8. I mean, if Carpenter's probably got to try and keep this on the feet, but that's not really his game. So it's just a tough matchup for him. I like Clayton Carpenter. I thought he had a pretty good showing against in his two. I mean, he beat Edgar Chairez. That's kind of aging pretty decent on Contender Series, and he's 2-0 in UFC. I think he gets his first loss here, and I actually hope he loses because this will be a great learning experience for him. And man, come back and bet on Clayton Carpenter in his next one. So Ulanbekov minus 325. It's a favorite, but he's the rightful favorite in this one. Ricky Turcios and Benardo Sopaj. I believe I pronounced that correct. Benardo Sopaj is coming off of one of the most devastating KOs I've seen in UFC. If you haven't seen the knee that he took from Vinicius Oliveira, wow. That's the kind of knee that changes careers, in my opinion. And, I mean, they're giving him about as good of a matchup as you can get. He took the fight against Oliveira on short notice, and they're giving him Ricky Turcios, who you and I have enjoyed betting against. What do you think about this fight?
We get these spots where the UFC tries to protect themselves and protect the people that they want to stick around. They liked Sopaj. I know it was short notice against Oliveira, but he was a guy who, in our research, was on their radar before the Oliveira fight. So he was coming to the UFC. It was just a question of when. So he did the right thing. Like we always say, when the UFC calls, what do? You say yes. You take the fight. Now, sometimes when you say yes, these things can happen.
Yeah.
So be careful who you say yes to. Cardio was an issue. I thought he was doing quite well until his cardio went away. Now that could be short notice. I'm not nearly as worried about the knockout as a lot of people are. I don't factor that in. Yes, it was a terrifying flying knee knockout, but if he is the guy that the UFC wants, this is expert matchmaking. Kudos on the matchmaking, throwing him Ricky Turcios, who, in my opinion, is 0% danger. He doesn't bring anything to the table that is going to just impact the fight. What is he known for? Cardio, toughness, and again, I hate to use all the cliches in one fight, but what is the first attribute is toughness is a problem. You have to have
Yeah.
some MMA skills. So I think this is a really, really, really nice bounce back from Sopaj. I think he absolutely smokes Turcios on the cards in this fight. I don't see a finish, probably decision. But I this could be 30-27 pretty evidently. I just don't see anything from Ricky that is going to sway the judges with the rounds unless he racks up 3 minutes of control time. And I don't think he's going to do that against Bernardo. So give me
No,
Bernardo.
I'm with you. I think Bernardo's striking is actually going to be pretty good. And like you said, Turcios just you're not scared of his striking. You're not scared of his wrestling. You're not scared of much of anything from him. So, if Bernardo feels like he's got the advantage on the feet, that's where we'll see it take place. And, he probably wins that one, wins it from there. So, Rinya Nakamura and Gafurov, this fight probably will not take place on the feet. This is a pretty big favorite. Rinya Nakamura minus 535. Early nominee for the woulda, coulda, shoulda. I think this is an awful matchup for Gafurov. They're throwing him to the wolves on this one. I think Nakamura racks up a lot of control time. Gafurov has good cardio, but I think Nakamura takes this one pretty easily in dominant fashion. What do you think?
So Gafurov's training with the Makhachev boys and the Nurmagomedov boys, and of course he's going to be getting better. Problem is, I think Nakamura is just another level. He really is. The wrestling is just a beautiful thing to watch. Coming out of Japan, we really have only seen this from. Who's our guy challenging? Of course, I'm going to drop the name right now from Japan.
Well, I mean, this picture of him is great. I
There
mean,
you go,
like
wrestling.
it's like wrestling against a guy who looks like probably should be winning in a wrestling match, and he's pissed off. It's a great profile picture. It's one of my favorites. So
I just think he's going to be better. He also Nakamura does have power on the feet as well. He has power. I wouldn't say it's crisp striking, but I mean, there's not a whole lot to break down in this fight. He's the better fighter. I know he's only 9-0, but Gafurov, I've never really been super impressed with. I think this is a walk in the park for Rinya, and he again takes this fight to decision. A lot of decisions on this card for me. A lot of decisions. You're going to hear that a lot.
yeah, I mean, he won this fight against Kang, but there were times where he was losing some wrestling some wrestling instances. He was like he won the first round against Kang pretty convincingly, but he lost the second, and then I think he won the third with a late flurry there, kind of at the end, but easily submitted by another Nurmagomedov. And I'm with you. The other thing about him is he's shorter and he's got short limbs. He's got to get in close to do damage, and that is Nakamura's like wheel. I mean, that's his bread and butter. Once you get in close to Nakamura, he's going to take you down. And Nakamura is relentless with ground and pound, improving position. Like he does not give you a chance to breathe down there. So I mean, yeah, Gafurov can get better and is probably improved, but man, I don't know about that one. So Carol Rosa and our girl Ailin Perez. Rosa, big favorite, minus 258. Interested in your thoughts on this?
I hate the number. First and foremost, absolutely hate the number. Who do I want to win this fight? Carol Rosa. Because I think Perez has gotten away with a lot in the UFC. The weight misses, the antics.
What antics?
What
antics?
Twerking on opponent's head. So who am I rooting for? I'm rooting for Carol Rosa. Here's the problem. Carol Rosa can be taken down. And anytime that she's fought somebody with a wrestling background, she has ended up on her back. Just go down. I looked at everything, every reason to bet Rosa. Sarah McMahon, wrestler. Norma Dumont, wrestler. Throw out the Irina Aldana fight. She doesn't wrestle. That was just a fight of the year That fight still
Yeah.
doesn't get enough credit. That fight was amazing. But she loses to girls with good wrestling. She beats girls that can't bring power and can't strike on the feet. So, Ailin Perez, really only takedowns. She has shown a slight improvement in her striking as far as the crispness of it. Defensively, she is moving in and out more, but it's still not her strength by any means. And you look at her strength of schedule, and she's fought people that are going to play to her strength. I still, that Jocelyn Edward fight still irks me. Still irks me to this day how that was unanimous. I want to bet Carol Rosa, but I can't because she could give away 2 rounds before Perez gasses. That being said, I expect Perez to win the first round. I expect her to win the beginning of the second round. If there is a tide change in the middle of the second round, you could pencil Rosa in for the third. This is the same thing like Chris Curtis the other week. Now, granted, Chris got knocked out. Thanks, Mark Smith, for that knockout with 1 second left. But
He was
Carol Rosa is going to
losing.
be there in the third.
He
She's
was
going to
gonna.
be there.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, we're gonna do a Chris Curtis talk at the end because I heard an interview with his coach and I called it. You would have called it the exact same thing with Chris Curtis when we were doing our takedown live show. So we'll do that at the end because he was mad at the ref, but not for the stoppage, which I thought was a very, very mature professional, and he was absolutely 100% correct on that one. I got to be honest. I thought I was going to be alone, not only liking Ailin Perez, but thinking this is a solid bet. Ailin Perez has no problem taking opponents down, especially in the first round. It's legit, and she's good at holding position. I don't want to get too. Her hips are really strong. I know that's setting up for the twerk joke. I get it, but I'm serious. She can
right.
hold her she can hold her opponents down for long periods of time. Round 2, early in the round, she can get it to the ground. Now, round 3 is where she has struggled. So she's got to win rounds 1 and 2 because winning round 3 is going to be tough. But I got to be honest, man. I went back and watched this. I watched Rosa versus Pani Kianzad. If you're betting on Karol or on Carol Rosa, I highly invite you to go watch that fight and ask yourself if you feel a lot better or worse about your bet because it was uninspiring at best. She doesn't move forward very quick. The way she stands, she's just ripe to be taken down. And I think Ailin Perez is gonna be able to do that. So I'm with you. It may come down to the third round, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ailin Perez has banked 2 rounds over Rosa. She lost her debut against Egger back when Egger was decent. And give her credit. 3 straight unanimous decision, and then she gets the first round arbitrage try. I think she's getting a little bit better. So I'm on Perez at the plus money. I think this is a pretty solid one.
I think the only bet you can make is plus money, whether you get it live or you get it pre-fight. Don't lay chalk on this women's fight. Don't.
Well, it's a good point. If you want Rosa, you probably do want to wait because that's when Ailin Perez is going to be at her best, which is right there at the very beginning of the fight. So you probably are going to get a little bit better number. Yeah, absolutely for sure. I didn't even realize that Zach Reese got a new opponent until I logged in a couple hours ago. I went back and you know what? I'm coming to you first. What's your take on this fight?
Short notice replacement fights. Very short. This is week of.
Yeah, doesn't get much more short notice than this.
What did we say last year we noticed with these short replacements?
There's no pressure on them. They can just go out and do what they do. They have a feeling of relaxation because the UFC has said, thank you for saving this fight. You're going to get a chump next fight. And then you end up seeing some of these really solid performances. It doesn't happen all the time, but every time it just felt like every single time that it was like, oh, this guy's going to steamroll this other guy. Nope. It just didn't happen that way. And then they suck in their second fight. So I don't know. Is that what you think is happening?
Exactly. They fool everybody the second the second fight,
they
right?
they
Um,
get you.
what we've also seen is they go to decision. It's more so I'm not trying to kill this guy across from me because he saved my fight,
Oh, I like
right?
this. Okay.
So Zach Reese, big time finisher, right? Guy that can
Yeah.
get finished as well. Um, I got a sneaking suspicion this burns everybody. This fight miraculously goes the distance in
Oh
just a
wow.
boring point
Okay.
fighting. I want no part of betting it. I was initially thinking the under, and I'm not going to make that mistake this year and just jump on a fight under because it's a last minute replacement. It still has to come down to the X's and O's. And we've seen Zach Reese enough to know he has major holes in his game. So, yeah, if this was a short notice replacement for Islam Makhachev, that's a different ball game, right? Zach Reese has holes in his game, so I'm not willing to lay my money on either side. I'll be very interested to see what they look like facing off, if they're chummy. If I see these guys hugging and happy at weigh-ins, there might be a sprinkle on this fight to go the distance. I'm sure that's going to be great odds.
Okay. All right. So I looked at this completely different than you.
Good.
So okay. So I looked at it as you have Zach Reese, who is 8-1. His one loss was about as fluky as it gets.
Mhm.
He gets picked up and he gets slammed. Um, Comes back and does what he's supposed to do. Beats Julian Marquez. And then this fight against Jose Medina. Medina is just one of these guys that's too tough for his own good. Zach Reese beat the shit out of him.
Mhm.
I mean, beat the shit out of him in the first round. And Medina just one of those ultra tough guys. I thought that fight was good for Reese because he went the distance, manages cardio. Cardio wasn't great, but he was still getting takedowns in the third round. Like he was picking Medina up and slamming him down. You don't do that if your cardio is completely gone. So I thought that was a weirdly a good fight for him in his career to go the distance. And so then I go look and okay, I got Azamat Bekoev 18-3. So okay, clearly this guy must be good. He's fighting out of LFA, which we've determined on Contender Series. LFA, not that great. I went and watched his last fight again. Yeah, it's not
Stock
that
is
great.
down.
Yeah. So he beats Chauncey Foxworth. Azamat was winning on the ground in the first round, and he wasn't really winning in the second round in the ground. And then he stood up and he knocked the guy out with a right hook. It was a nice right hook, but this guy Foxworth was exhausting. They beat Lucas Fernando, and if we all remember Lucas Fernando, Fernando was the guy that Cesar Almeida beat, and Fernando was the massive favorite on Contender Series. So I don't put that much stock in that one. Jim, this
There's our boy.
man went to a split decision with Dylan Budka.
Mhm.
In Dylan Budka's sixth fight? I'm sorry. If you're going to split decision against Dylan Budka, I got big time questions about where you're at. So I saw that and I thought, okay, short notice. Could barely beat Dylan Budka's beat some whatever in LFA, fighting the young up and coming prospect. And I look, and Zach Reese is plus 170. What in the what? I may be completely 100% wrong, but you're giving me a short notice guy coming from LFA whose big wins are a split against Dylan Budka, a guy who got decimated as a minus 500 favorite, and then this Chauncey Foxworth who lost his energy in the second round. Zach Reese plus 170, absolutely 100% is the play in this one. I was stunned. I thought Reese would be minus 200, minus 250. I don't know. The books have this completely wrong, or I do. Like one of us is going to look completely insane in this one.
You're swaying me, Lang. You're swaying me. I got to admit, you're making a good case here.
18-3 in LFA, and it's I don't know, man. I don't know. 18-3, and we haven't seen him in UFC. Doesn't that kind of tell you something? What do we say about these guys that have been around for a while? And so I'm blown away by this plus 170. I will be betting Zach Reese. I will absolutely have a plus 170 ticket on Zach Reese going into this fight.
The nice thing is you get the plus money on him money line. You don't have to go chasing a finish.
I don't need a finish.
Zach Reese by finish his last fight burned everybody, myself included.
Hmm.
How it just Medina, like you said, was too tough for his own good.
I mean, how many guys would have gone down from those body kicks? Well, of course, most guys would have blocked the body kicks, but Medina was like, why block it and not knocking me out?
Mhm.
So we'll get to Grant Dawson and Diego Ferreira in just a little bit. Just want to tell you guys about a special that we have. We're running a 3-day special. Buy 3 days, get your 4th day free. So 33% value. We bring that up because we have a 5% UFC best bet that is up. We only did one best bet for clients last week. Easy cash. So we're looking forward to cashing our first 5% of the year. 31-19 going back to last season. So we're seeing the MMA really, really well. And you can get all those. Australian Open is still going on. Corbin went 9-2 in the first round of tennis plays at the Australian Open. So you'll get all those. You'll get all of our NHL plays, NBA plays, and NFL plays. We've got some NFL props that are already up 12-6 the last 4 weeks. We closed out the regular season in NFL really, really strong. And we had a nice 3-1 weekend in the first round of the playoffs. So it's a great time to get on board a 3-day pass. You're going to get all of those. Encourage everyone to get that. And these are all bets, like Jim and I tell you every week. These are bets we make with our own money. These are not bets that we just throw out there willy-nilly. When we put out a bet, we have it with our own money. We are still number one. We're up 215 units the last 2 years at Wager Talk. I'll pull up the record here. And I wrote it down. I forgot to pull up the screen, but I'll pull that up because we always like to be honest with everybody and show everyone what our record is. And we're really, really proud that over the last 2 years, we're number one at Wager Talk. So grab 3 days, get the 4th free, get that 5% UFC play included. Our boy, Grant Dawson, who is quickly moving up my ranks, is one of my favorite parlay pieces. I can't quite put him ahead of Xander Schauffele, top 20. But Dawson has just been an absolute steamroller, and he gets Diego Ferreira here. Striker wrestler, pretty easy. It comes down to who do you think implements their game plan and has the upper edge? What do you think?
Well, Diego is a competent grappler. He's a, I believe, 3rd-degree jiu-jitsu black belt, which is not something that comes along every day. We always hear this person's a black belt. This person's they give them out like candy. All right, at some parts of the world. Diego's legitimate. Okay, so he has the jiu-jitsu. Grant Dawson. Look, people have been saying this for years, and I'm not saying anything new, but everybody always wants to take the wrestler over the jiu-jitsu guy. And that's the thing, is that at Diego's age of 39 years old, as great as his jiu-jitsu is, I don't see him being able to stop Grant Dawson from doing what Grant Dawson does. I hate the fact that people complain about Grant Dawson and say that he's boring. They don't like his fights. I love watching this man when his opponent knows what he's going to do, and him just implementing his game plan for 15 minutes. Nobody can stop it. The only person to be able to stop it was Bobby Green. Okay. And hey, shit happens. We all get caught. Okay. Bobby Green hits hard. Dawson was coming in. All right. I just don't see him being able to hold the pace up. I don't. We saw him get the finish against Rafa Garcia in his last fight. I think that's a real turning of the page moment for him. And Grant Dawson is no dummy. He has said this before. I am going to rack up so many wins that I am going to be undeniable. And the finishes will come. And when I need a finish, I'll go for it. But until that point, until they prove they can stop me, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's one of the reasons why GSP was so hard to beat. Because now we have him in a title fight situation. How are you going to beat him? How are you going to beat him in 5 rounds?
Yeah.
Good luck. He's going to bank 3 every time, you know? So I just think Diego's going to be outmatched. Now, there is a chance for the knockout. I think Grant will be sharp to it. I was shocked to see this line is still holding strong. I think this is a massively, massively misaligned fight, and Grant Dawson could look minus 600 by the start of the 2nd round of this fight. I don't trust Diego to be able to hold up against the wrestling of Grant Dawson. So I will stay on the Dawson train and take him. Probably wins by decision.
I'm going to pile on this Diego Ferreira thing. Okay. So he beats Michael Johnson in a fight that was on the feet. Rebecca apparently decided I'm going to be a kickboxer and gassed himself in the first round. Fought arguably one of the dumbest fights. It's in the top 10 for dumbest fights. And Diego Ferreira was not winning in the first round. Rebecca was. And then Rebecca was like, I'm going to show off my chops as a kickboxer. and lost. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not trying to take away anything from losing to Gamrot, but Gamrot, Gillespie on the ground. If you're losing to those guys, you're going to lose to Grant Dawson unless you get the early KO. And I'm with you that this is one of the most refreshing things about Grant Dawson is he's not going to pull a Carl Williams and come out and try and strike for 3 rounds. He said it, and he means it. And what happens? He gets a finish, and then he does a really funny interview afterwards. Oh, ha ha ha! That was, and also Grant Dawson is likable now. Oh, he got the finish, and he said something funny. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
We're MMA fans. That is literally all it takes. Get a finish and say something funny. So he's steady Eddie. He's predictable. You know what he's going to do. And yeah, you know what I'm going to do. Diego Ferreira knows what he's going to do. And there's not a damn thing he can do about it unless he knocks him out. To start.
He's got to knock him or sub him out in the first 2 minutes, or this fight is just going to go one-way traffic.
Yeah, and I think Grant Dawson has the best body triangle in all of MMA. Once he gets that thing in there, there is no way you're getting out of it. I mean, you just see him just sucking the life out of people. So it's Grant Dawson for me. Bogdon, Guskov, and this Billy. I mean, I don't know much about him. Is it Elekana?
I believe so. Yes.
All I know is he beat Chuck Campbell in the PFL playoffs, and I went back and watched him, and it's just not that impressive. So he's coming in short notice. Good for him. Guskov looked awful in his UFC debut, but give him credit. He looked awful, and I didn't think we would see him for much longer, but gets knocked out against Zach Pauga, and then knocks out Ryan Spann, and I'm pretty sure he was licking his chops about seeing the chin of Johnny Walker on the other side of the cage. I don't really know a whole lot about it. If I have to pick, it's Guskov, but it's juice, so this is kind of a stay away. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on this one?
Well, first of all, we're going to get Bogdon. We're going to get him.
Oh, yeah, we'll get him.
He is way overhyped for what his skill set is. Guys that hit hard and throw from their waist do not have long UFC careers and do not make it to the title. So, unless your name is Yuri Perhashka and you're just a freak of nature, we'll get to him later. Billy, I remember in PFL, he is bad. He's real bad. So I was so pissed about this that they're going to make me bet Bogdan Gustav. And then they were nice enough to make it minus 305, so I don't have to bet it because I'm not laying minus 305 on somebody who has no striking defense. There is a puncher's chance in this fight. I recommend that everybody stay the hell away from this fight. The only place that I would look in this fight is probably don't go the distance because that is Bogdan. That's him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a firefight. It's going to be a firefight. So when the line comes out, I'll look at that to parlay it. But the man just causes a car crash, and defensively, he's not sound. We talked about this last week, and I just can't bet guys that are not defensively sound. Can't do it.
I'm even gonna throw a little bit water on that. Here's a short notice. Where are they just happy to be here? Mm-hmm. Hey, let's just wink. Let's get through this fight. I was supposed to knock out Johnny Walker. Thank you for saving it. There's so many reasons to stay away from this fight.
Like
so
a Billy take the ball and go home. He gets hit once and covers up.
Yeah.
And you're like, that was an early stoppage.
Yeah. Jailton, Almeida, and Serghei Spivak. Almeida is the big minus 455 favorite. I was mad I didn't get in on this. I agree with the line. I think this is a nightmare matchup for Spivak. Where do you stand on this?
I think this is my island of the week here.
Oh, good. We need one.
Not that I'm a big fan of Serghei, but the guy can wrestle. And we've noticed with Jailton, his striking, albeit getting better, is extremely predictable. Look, Spivak's not a small guy. He's not one of these big, fat, out of shape heavyweights either. He's got some love handles on him, but he's got a heavyweight build, right? So that armbar he pulled against Tabora, I gotta say, that was pretty damn impressive. Granted, it's a low-level move. Tabora falls right into it. But I don't know, man. The hair on the back of my neck in this one just thinks that everybody wants to parlay Jailton Almeida. We've seen him make errors. He's now going against somebody who can grapple. And the last person that he fought that could grapple was Curtis Blades. That beat him. I'm not going to
Oh,
say
come
Romanov.
on. Oh,
Stop.
come on.
Stop. I'm not going to say that Romanov can grapple because Romanov can't fucking grapple. Okay. He can't grapple. Let's stop talking. He's gone anyway. We don't have to talk about him. But the bottom line is to get in that situation where he got hit by the hammer fist, there was a stuffing of a takedown. So I'm not willing to lay that number. I am being very selective this year of who I am telling you guys to bet. And you might get a little annoyed that I'm not picking a side, but guess what? When I like something, you'll know, and I'll tell you. And this is not one that I like. I think this is a closer matchup than a lot of people think it is. Also, I think you'll know very early what's going to happen. So, I mean, if you see Jailton pick up Serghei and slam him, you could try to do something with Jailton live, but I think Serghei's more live than people think in this fight. That's just my stand.
Okay. I appreciate it. And again, all of our picks at Wager Talk, these are me and Jim's consensus picks. These are the ones that we're all in on. So if you want the cream of the crop, the best of the best that we love, we'll bet you get those. If you want to know what our takes are on fights, we'll tell you on the show for betting, not betting. And no, you do not have to bet every fight. In fact, you shouldn't be betting every fight. Like we're happy to take one or two official best bets on a big card and walk away with profit. So I know some people get annoyed that we don't say, well, we're not betting every single fight, but yeah, that's not what we do. Okay. My problem with Spivak is, yes, he got the arm bar and he was on bottom because Tabur was on top of him. And I watched him gas bad against Cyril Gane. He was non-existent after that. After he couldn't get the takedowns and Gane just beat him up on the feet. I'm all in on Almeida on this one. I think it's Almeida by finish. So I don't like the 1.5 because I just watching Spivak gas against Gane was just wow. I know he's getting beat up on the feet, and that's not really what Almeida does, but I like Almeida. So I appreciate.
I love the fact that you just said by finish because you got to my next point here.
Okay,
this fight's not going the distance.
I don't see a world in which it goes. It's either Spivak pulls out another awesome leg submission or Almeida maybe by ground and pound. Like I could absolutely see Spivak, turtling up and Almeida doing the thing. So
I see a finish in this fight. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take Jailton Almeida by finish. Payton Talbott and Aroni Barcelos. Jim, you said you were on an island. Here's my island. Spoiler, Payton Talbot by KO is going to be my parlay buster at the end. I would be absolutely terrified to have a minus 1,100 or minus 1,200 ticket on Payton Talbot, who is 9-0, who is getting all the hype, who has looked great, but he has looked great against.
Here's the fun part.
Nick Aguirre, who came in, fought Dan Marquetta, lost, fought Payton Talbot. Thanks for coming. Now you're fighting in the Absolute Combat League 4. I hear events 1, 2, and 3 were amazing. Cameron Simon, which I don't know, lost to Christian Rodriguez, lost to Payton Talbot, and then somehow they found someone worse than those two guys, and they give him Giannis Gamori, which was the gift of all gifts. And it's like, I get that they keep trying to prop up Payton Talbot, and he's marketable, and he looks the part. I don't think Barcelos is a walkover, man. This guy's 37 years old. This win against Christian Quinones was pretty good. He had enough cardio in round 3 to get the choke. Loses to Kyler Phillips, who is on a roll. Loses to Umar. We're going to hold that against him. I think he's still got more left in the tank. Timur Valiev and Victor Henry gets the win against Trevin Jones. So I know he's got a losing record in last, but Payton Talbot is not going to finish his career undefeated. Barcelos still is going to be able to move on the feet. I think he's going to have some tricks up his sleeve, particularly with some clinch, maybe some takedowns. I think if you bet on Peyton Talbot, there's going to be points of this fight where you're a little bit worried.
Mhm.
I'm not going all in to say that Barcelos gets the win at plus 750. I'm just saying there's no chance I'm laying Peyton Talbot. And I think what people are going to do is they're going to lay Peyton Talbot by KO because of this minus 1200. They're gonna go all in on the KO. And then it's going to be round 3, and Barcelos is still dancing around, and Talbot still hasn't landed the big kill shot. So my hot take is this fight is going to make people sweat big time. What do you think?
Peyton Talbot at minus 185 by KO. No way. No way.
They're telling you right there.
I'm not falling
How,
for it.
how
I'm
are you
not
minus
falling for
12? How are you minus 1200 to win and only minus 185 to knock guys out when that's what you've been doing? I think the books have sniffed this one out.
it. I think they're setting everybody up, is what I think. They are setting everyone up to parlay this together to get it down to what? Even money with somebody else. There you go. Jailton Almeida and Peyton Talbot by knockout. There's your square parlay.
Almeida wins in the first round. You're like, I did it.
I got
And
it.
then Talbot.
Decision or submission happens, right? It's just
I
just
think
insane.
decision. So
Yeah, I just again he Barcelos can get slept. He can. He's older, but this is light years ahead of any opponent that Peyton has fought. And let me ask you guys: are you going to be upset if you miss out on a minus 185 by finish prop by betting it, not betting it? I'm not. I'm not laying those numbers this year on finish props. It's not happening. You better offer me even or plus money on a buy finish. We talked about this at the beginning of the year, and we're not chasing props. We're stacking
yeah.
wins is what we're doing. So I'm not going to chase this prop. I wouldn't be shocked if Peyton Talbot wins. I'm still picking him to win, but there's nothing you can do with his numbers. You're going to have to plant your flag on submission, KO, or decision. And I'll believe it when I see it with this kid. He's still 9-0, and he's fighting a guy who's been fighting since he was in Pampers. So I will gladly wait and see.
This guy still has. Is Reyes Cortez maybe his best opponent
Probably.
on
These
Contender
last
Series?
three, Cameron Simon's a decent opponent, but
He's okay.
he was outgunned and outmatched in that fight, and we knew that the firepower wasn't
Yeah.
there for him. And other than that, he really has fought nobody's.
And by the way, I have made money on Peyton Talbot by finish in every
Mhm.
single one of his UFC fights. Like,
Yeah,
so I've been betting on it. So he's got. I just think he's got a lot of work to do. And Barcelos is that veteran that he may look at him and go, oh, young gun, you're not there yet. So maybe I look foolish, but I think Barcelos is.
I think we'll find out a lot about Peyton Talbot with this fight because we don't know much.
Honestly, the best thing for him would be to go 3 full rounds against Barcelos because I just think Barcelos has still got some nice movement on the feet, some good head movement. Yeah, it would do him good to go 3 rounds with a formidable veteran here. Cue up the circus music because Kevin Holland is fighting Rainier de Ritter. I'm going to you first
My
because
boy, Kevin Holland, my boy.
he's so not my boy. What do you do with him in this fight?
Well, just like I had said last week, Tiago Moises is my boy. Kevin Holland's another one of my boys. All right. Made some good money on Mr. Kevin Holland because it's going to be a circus. Now, what is the biggest question with Kevin? Does he give a crap about winning the fight? That's the question. Against Roman,
I don't know how you have been able to do this. You were all over Manoka saying
good with weird fighters.
You were good against Chase. Yeah. I'm like, how do you lay off all the time Holland is joking around? It's a miracle. Anyway, go ahead.
I got that special coin right here, just like the Tiago fights, and I just flip it. The rib injury. This is an issue for me, man, because how do you come back from a broken rib this quick?
I thought that too. I was surprised when I saw October 5th. This felt like it was a year ago.
Is this rib injury not as bad as we thought? Or is this Kevin looking to get a check in January? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And this is how I attack Kevin Holland. What's the motivation? Now, we've always seen with Kevin Holland is he loses against good guys. Loses against Jack Della, loses against Michael Venom Page, gets him kind of embarrassed. comes back and beats the brakes off of Zajac, right? Loses to Stephen Thompson, comes back and gets rid of 2 guys in a row. So there is a point of pride with him where he kind of has to remind people every once in a while. Rainer de Ridder is a horrible, horrible MMA fighter. Great grappler, but the dude got touched up by Gerald Meerschaert. That's a bad look.
I'm with you.
He's tired as well. How can you be tired fighting Gerald Meerschaert, who's not known for their pace, okay? De Ridder's no spring chicken. Now, what he is a way bigger, way stronger frame than Kevin Holland. So I've been staring at this fight for months since it was announced, deciding what to do. And we've had some conversations behind the scenes. I have not landed on a Kevin Holland bet. Tonight, I'm watching the interviews. I want to know what kind of headspace Kevin Holland is in, because you have to know that before you bet a Kevin Holland fight. If he is talking like he needs to remind this guy coming over from a different organization who the hell he is, I'm betting Kevin Holland. If he's happy-go-lucky Kevin, talking about they call and I just take fights, I do what I do, then I'm not taking Kevin Holland. I'm probably betting de Ridder. What I will do is take this fight not to go the distance. One of these 2 guys is going to look like hell in this fight. Absolute hell. Either de Ridder is going to fall down the first round, or we're going to see Kevin Holland get taken down and submitted like he's not even there. This is going to be a quick fight. I think the under 1.5 is in play in this fight. I think this fight is over damn quick. So that's where I'm definitely on, but I'll be looking at Kevin tonight.
I mean, de Ridder looked absolutely awful. He was so awful against Meerschaert. I mean, he was truly terrible. But then I look at Kevin Holland, and I get what you're saying about, like, how do we figure it out? But I mean, let's face it, this guy's lost 3 out of 4, and with his win against Zajac, whose kryptonite is basically Kevin Holland. Like, he can't stop submissions and things like that. The rib injury, I wonder if it wasn't a rib. I wonder if it was an oblique, if it was a muscle. Because
a broken rib that's too soon.
That's what I was thinking. It says rib injury. I went back and watched it, and I didn't see when a rib would have broken or anything, but I did see when you could pull or tear an oblique, and that's 2 months if you're being really, really, like, super overly cautious. But I'm with you that a broken rib injury to come back that soon, that's crazy, especially against the guy who you know is going to try and grapple. And to me, the odds speak volumes, because if Kevin Holland cares, he's going to look minus 400. What is he? Minus 112 on DraftKings. They're telling you this is a toss-up. A guy that struggled mightily against Gerald Meerschaert is even money against Kevin Holland. That says a lot, that the books are just like, man, we don't know what to do. So
you got to know where his head's at, man.
It's a stay away for me, for sure. Going to Benil Dariush and Hanato Money Moicano. I'll let you go first. Who you like?
I'm going with Moicano. Now, I'm going to preface all this by saying Moicano has cost me a lot of money. I am not the best Moicano bettor. I just thought he was really just here for the money. I kind of bit into his persona a little too much, should we say. This guy has proven to me he wants to win fights. He wants to be champion. He realizes where the money is, and it's at the top of the ladder. So I was blown away. Not that he beat Saint Denis. And I had a bet on Saint Denis, and that went up in absolute flames. But the way he did it, the control, not the elbows, not the damage. Saint Denis had 0 on the ground against this guy. Absolutely nothing. I mean, high mounted for what? 4 minutes? Couldn't buck him off. Couldn't dig an elbow in. Couldn't go out the back door. Nothing. No moves.
Wrap the body lock in instantly as soon as the fight started.
It was going nowhere. We knew it was going nowhere. And he just put some damage on him. That was really impressive to me. And he's going up against Benny, who everybody loves Benny. But I heard the one thing I had to hear with Benny, which is that if I can't beat this guy, I might just hang it up. It is in his mind. He's thinking about it. He's had injuries. He's been so close to the title. He's not even close to it anymore. I even think with a win against Moicano, he doesn't sniff a title. So the motivation factor is 1,000% on Moicano's side in this situation. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Benny lose. And if he loses by finish, we might see him put the gloves down in the octagon. If not, maybe we'll get one more time out of him. But I am all over Moicano. He's going to be able to dominate in the actual wrestling if it gets there. And Moicano's striking is nothing to shout about. Benny's chin has been touched. He can put him out. He can put him out. So give me Moicano. You Moicano by finish. Wouldn't be shocked.
So I've kind of done the rounds and listened and talked to everybody, and it feels like the only people that believe that Moicano is going to win this are Moicano, his friends, family, and trainers, and you and me.
That's right.
And I hear the most dangerous word in all of betting, and that's, well, Dariush is such a great value play. And again, a value bet is a bet that you ultimately end up losing, but you feel better about it because you say, I got a great number at least, even though your ticket's dead. I'm going to add to the Dariush talking about retirement because I found that interview. He was specifically asked about it, so he answered a question, but man, he rambled on way too long for somebody. Yep. It's absolutely in his head. Do you know why he didn't fight in 2024?
Broken leg.
Torn meniscus in his knee and brain trauma.
I think he had a fracture as well.
Like, he was beat up bad. And he gets the win against Gamrot. This is 2022. We're talking Tony Ferguson, whoop-dee, barely beats Diego Ferreira. And how many times do we have to see the spinning back fist against Scott Holtzman, for Christ's sake? I mean, I encourage you again. I said this about Carol Rosa. Go back and watch the last fight. Go back and look at what Benny looked like just standing before the fight against Oliveira, and then go look what he looked like just standing there against Tsarukyan. He looked like he aged 10 years. Yeah. He was old. He was slow. And here's the thing about the Oliveira fight. He got on top of Oliveira because he put Oliveira down, because everyone puts Oliveira down. That's where Oliveira wants to be. Benny gets on top and gasses. That's the thing you don't see here is Benny was on top trying to do ground and pound. Oliveira's doing his, ninja thing where he's not taking any damage, gets up, smokes him with a head kick, and then jumps on top of him. And Tsarukyan, the knee that Tsarukyan landed on him, he wasn't even close to blocking it. He was just out like a light. And we talk about fading the older fighters, and I know Moicano's like 15 days older than Dariush. Man, Dariush looked old in his last couple fights, and I just don't know if you get it back when you're coming back from brain trauma injury and knee injury. You lost 2 in a row, and you looked absolutely horrible doing it. And by the way, the other thing, can I point out? Like, Tsarukyan goes to split against Oliveira. Tsarukyan, who we'll talk about, barely gets the finish against Joaquim Silva. Decision against Ismagulov. This finish against Joel Alvarez was really nice, but that was a ground and pound. He doesn't knee guys.
Yeah, he's not a stand-up knockout artist. Yeah.
No, and with the ease that which he did it was really startling. He didn't set it up. It wasn't a takedown or anything. So I'm completely out on Dariush. I just, over the course of the rest of my life, if I fade these fighters that I think are down or old or got too much damage on there, I just think I'm going to come out ahead. So I got Moicano is on the upswing. I did hear, I forgot about this with Moicano. I heard an interview with Dan Hooker where Dan Hooker was like, nah, Dariush is a better grappler. He's going to be able to out-grapple Moicano. And I was like, where's Dan Hooker coming from? Do you remember who Moicano called out?
That's right.
He said, I want easy money. I want easy fights like Dan Hooker.
Just setting that one up for later.
I was like, no wonder. I was going to say I could see where this is going. So that's foreshadowing, what we call in the biz. So 3 more fights here. Yuri Prochazka and Jamal Hill. I'm going to go first. I have never been a Jamal Hill guy. I will never be a Jamal Hill guy. I just don't see it at this level. I will go back to where I pick apart Jamal Hill. Um, he foolishly gets in the guard of Paul Craig, gets his arm dislocated. It technically goes down as a KO. It was a submission. So he comes out and he beats Jimmy Crute, who's not in UFC anymore. He knocks out Johnny Walker. Forgive me if I won't throw you a parade for knocking out Johnny Walker. He beats Thiago Santos, who most likely was on the juice or just left to go to PFL where he was on the
Yeah.
juice. I'm not impressed by that. And then he couldn't get Glover Teixeira out of there in Glover's retirement fight. I, and then just gets obliterated by Alex Pereira. I just don't see it at this level. I think he's one hit power, and if he doesn't land that, I just don't quite see the levels to his game. He's still coming off of an Achilles injury. I know it's been a long time. Those injuries are no joke. And I get Yuri, whose recent losses are only to Alex Pereira. He murdered Rakic after he got his feet underneath him. He was able to finish Glover. Nice win against Reyes and Ozdemir. I mean, guy comes into UFC and blows through everybody except Alex Pereira. Now, what's funny is these guys are 0-3 against the same guy. So it's kind of funny. I just think Yuri's offense is too complicated. It comes at weird angles. I think he's just going to catch. I just think he's going to catch Jamal Hill with one of those goofy, weird, like, where did that come from type of moves like he does against everybody except Pereira. And I think Jamal Hill just has got that one shot, one hit thing. I'm not betting on Jamal Hill when he's fighting against these top guys. So I'll be honest. I did not bet. I didn't bet on Jamal Hill at all in any of these wins because I was just like, really, they're just setting you up. Like, they're setting you up for Thiago Santos. They're setting you up for Glover Teixeira in his retirement fight. But man, this was one of the most sizable bets I've made in recent memory. So I'm all over Yuri.
Early when it was first announced too.
We put that bet in 1 hour official play after it was officially announced, and the line came out immediately, and we hit out a bet. I'm just not a Jamal Hill at this level. I hope he proves me wrong because I root for everybody. But he's just one of these guys that everyone latches on to, and I think people are just going to consistently lose money on him. Give me Yuri.
Give me Yuri.
Yay!
I'm with you, man. I'm
Okay.
with you. Here, I don't know how many Big Macs Jamal's been eating, but that profile picture on Tapology, yeah, we haven't seen him have abs like that for quite a long time. Abs in general. Okay. Jamal is out of shape. From every piece of video that I have seen, this guy either A, is not training like he's supposed to, or B, is not back 100%. And I'm sorry, I just went through a full season of Aaron Rodgers with an Achilles. You can
Kirk
see,
Cousins.
you can see it. Even if it's 2 years, it doesn't come back the same. My instructor, my sensei tore his Achilles. He never, ever has been the same, ever. He's got to stretch for 45 minutes before we train. Just that one tendon.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, look, it has to be taken into consideration. Is this guy even legit? The delusion coming from Jamal Hill about this Pereira fight. I don't want to hear a single word about anybody complaining about that Pereira fight. Defend yourself at all times. I don't want to hear it. You made the error and you're blaming everybody else but yourself.
It's been the one time in UFC history when a guy got hit in the balls and was like, do not stop the fight. I'm getting ready to knock this guy out. Everybody that gets hit in the balls wants a break.
And since when is stepping on somebody's foot an illegal move too? We realize that foot stomps are illegal, right? So if I step on your foot and punch you in the mouth, that's a legal movement, right?
Yeah, if you do that to me in Walmart, we might have words.
Different story.
But
Yuri, for all his faults and his wildness and his ability to get hit, I do think at some point he is going to cause some chaos. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if we see Yuri implement the grappling. I would not be shocked to see Jamal stuck up against the cage with Yuri on top and Yuri continue to implement the grappling and the clinch game because that's where I believe he can do some real damage with those elbows and knees to Jamal. He can't stay at range. I think he's got to be inside causing damage. The best bet of this fight for me is the fight not to go the distance. One of these two guys is getting absolutely smoked. And we've just seen this with Yuri. That's what he's going to give you. He's going to give you chaos. 3 rounds,
I'm
5
amazed.
rounds. I don't care.
I'm amazed that under 1.5 is like plus 114, only minus 250 to not go the distance. With these
I
two
like
guys,
it a lot.
With these two
That,
guys,
like we said, we're going to be on something. I'll be on that in some way, shape, or form. I think
yeah.
this is a car crash waiting to happen.
I guess the other thing is like, I mean, Yuri, he gets done with the fight and he goes and he lives in a shack for 3 days with no food, no water. He like trains in God knows where. Like, who do you think's training harder? It's not even a
A
question.
No.
It's not a question for this one. So I'm with you about the Achilles, man. I had a buddy who played in the NFL, tore his Achilles, came back, tore the other one on his first day back, and never played in the NFL ever again. Had one quick season on a practice squad in Canadian football, and to this day, he is injured more than any human being
Yeah.
that I know. Those injuries are they're just brutal. So, all right, first championship fight: Merab Dvalishvili against Umar Nurmagomedov. I am still flabbergasted at a minus 300 or minus 290 on anybody over Merab. Jim, I never thought I would see the day when Merab would be a plus 250 favorite. Your thoughts? This line is truly baffling to me. I guess the books are going, oh, you think Umar's going to be champ? Well, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for this one. I don't know. Well, it makes sense of this line for me.
It doesn't. You're paying a tax on the last name, first of all. So let's factor that in. If you had to say, what's the tax on the Nurmagomedov last name? Anytime you see anybody with Nurmagomedov, how many extra cents you paying? 40?
Yeah, like if his name was Omar DeRitter,
yeah,
it's probably not that expensive.
Anything. Smith. Anything. Okay.
All the Umar Smiths in the world.
Yes, all the Umar Smiths. Yeah, the line's just out of whack. This is so disrespectful of the champion. It's insane. Now, why is everybody so concerned about Merab's actions? Do we all forget that this guy's just a maniac? He's been this way forever. So I've heard all these takes. Merab's, he's not in his right mind. He's not this. He's being forced into this fight. He doesn't want this fight. I don't think Merab's afraid of anybody, first of all. I also think Merab wants to fight as much as possible. I don't think he's waiting around. He's been screaming for fights for years. So this is a narrative-driven fight for me. And if you're going to give me plus, what are we at now? 235?
Plus 235, yeah.
In a 5-round fight where I know he's not going to get tired, probably not going to get finished, I'll take Merab to win 3 out of 5 here. I love this fight to go the distance. Because Merab's not finishing anybody. Never does.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to stifle a lot of Umar's offense.
It's juiced really, really high to the over, but I'm with you. I mean, Umar, great win against Sandhagen, but Betzak gave him a little bit of a push here. Now they knew each other. So I can't. Here's the thing: I can't poke holes in anybody's game. And by the way, Merab's crazy mindset is probably why he's champion.
Exactly.
Like you don't want him to be normal because then he doesn't train at the pace that he does. I know I just torched the phrase value play, but where's the value in laying minus 300 on Umar? Like I can find 10 different plays that I like better than Umar minus 300. So I'm not betting it with my own money. I will just say I am absolutely flabbergasted that Merab is this big of an underdog. I just didn't think that we'd be seeing that. So
I think you're going to get a better number on Merab live.
Okay.
Umar's going to be able to stuff the takedowns in the first and second. He'll be able to.
Yeah, but what's going on when Merab is still going at the same pace in round 4 as he went in round 1? That's a great point. That's a great point. Move on to the main event: Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan. It's my job to poke holes in fighters and find reasons not to bet on guys or to bet on guys. So I have holes in both of these games, but we do have to address. Um, I'm kind of getting sick of the does this guy have staph infection thing.
So glad
One
you're bringing this up.
one guy posts it on Twitter and everybody thinks they're the first to do it. And whenever this happens,
Mhm.
the MMA Twitter world is so tight knit that when one guy posts something on it, everyone tries to take it as their own. And shout out to all you in Discord. It happened in our Discord. I saw one guy post on Twitter, and it wasn't an hour later that somebody was like, rumors are that, and it was like, it wasn't a rumor. One guy posted on Twitter. I saw it. So, like, y'all aren't doctors. You don't know what this particular thing is. I've seen the photo. I couldn't guess in a million years what it was. I bet you could show doctors and they wouldn't guess in a million years what this is. So stop trying to figure out if the guy has staph infection unless it's an open wound or something even more bizarro than that. So I'm not even going to take that into consideration. Um, you got to bet on this fight, thinking both guys are 100% going into it. So, all right. That being said, what is your take on this fight?
It is really, really hard to stay champion in this division. Really, really hard. This division is about to have a very large upheaval, where the old heads are on their way out and the young bucks are coming in. And I know we don't think about Islam like an old head, but the guy's been around and he's been competing at a very high level for a very long time. That's a lot of weight cuts. That's a lot of training camps. That's a lot of flights across the world, fighting in different time zones, fighting through injuries, rehydration issues, depending on where the fight is. They can go on and on and on and on. It's really hard, which really is what makes Khabib's record so impressive. The fact that he retired as the champ undefeated. Poirier had some moments against him, didn't he? Really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, he had more than moments. He had good moments against
Yep.
him. And by the way, I would have never in a million years guessed Makhachev is 33. I would have been like, what, 27, 28? I was
He's
pretty
not a spring
surprised.
chicken, man.
No, it's a lot. I'll go to where I was starting to poke holes. Poirier absolutely had moments, made it to round 5.
Yeah.
And you and I had a bet on Makhachev by finish, and we thought it was over. And then finally he gets the best of him. But so struggled a little bit against Poirier. And then he beats undersized Volk. By the way, the first fight against Volk, some people thought Volk.
Alex Volkanovski won that fight. I will take that to my grave.
So he fights an undersized and prepared Volk, and Volk almost beats him. And then he beats Volk when Volk's going through all of his mental
he was drinking
things. Yeah, he was
He openly said.
showed up fat and out of shape, and he was like, "Yeah, I need to please keep me busy. I need to be kept busy." So he took a fight he shouldn't have, and he gets that finish. So what do I got to go back to 2022 before he beats Charles Oliveira? He beat Bobby Green, who saved the fight, took it on short notice, submitted Dan Hooker.
Wasn't Dan Hooker short notice as well?
That's what
It was.
He's fought some big name guys, but again, it kind of goes to like Thiago Moises back in 2021, big time win, big time fight, made it into round 4. Drew Dober in 2021 made it into round 3. You're going back to 2019, Ramos decision, Tsarukyan decision. So, and this doesn't include all the training, all the wear and tear from the brutal training that these guys go through. He's got miles on this body. All right, I have one funny thing about Makhachev. Where do you think Adriano Martins is, and do you think every once in a while he's like, freaking beat that guy?
Hell yeah, he is.
You wait. Grandpa, tell us a story about when you knocked out Islam Makhachev.
1,000%
Well,
he is.
sit on my leg. I'll tell you about the one shot
You know what it's like? Chuck Wepner with Muhammad Ali. My grandfather was very good friends with Chuck Wepner down in Jersey City. And after
Oh
he
my
fought,
God.
Chuck's whole career, after he was done, he just walked around signing autographs, signing pictures, had a restaurant. It's literally like the scene in Rocky where he's got the restaurant with all the fights on the wall. Yep, I knocked him down. I knocked him down. Great guy, by the way, Chuck. Chuck was a
Oh, you can tell
fantastic
he's a
guy.
great guy. I
Great guy.
think Chuck fought into his 70s.
Yeah, he did.
Uh,
He fought a bear.
I remember
You remember
Chuck
that?
Wepner
Remember
fighting a
that?
bear, and
Yeah.
he looked like he was 70 years old when he did that. All right, so those are my holes I can poke in Makhachev. I'll try and poke some holes in Tsarukyan here. Barely beats Oliveira when he was in a submission
Mhm.
at the end of the fight. Knocks out old Dariush. Struggled mightily against Joaquin Silva. Goes to decision against Ismagulov. But that being said, this loss to Gamrot, that was one of the more amazing fights.
Great fight.
I could still go back and watch that. What he did to Joel Alvarez was amazing. Like amazing. Joel Alvarez doesn't get his ass kicked, and Tsarukyan absolutely bloodied him up and kicked his ass. So I don't know. It's kind of weird here because I feel like his last few finishes I have more questions about than I do when he was back in the 2021 2022. Now I got to be honest, I don't really care about training quotes or stories, but holy shit, what Tsarukyan has said about what his training has been like. Where what do you say? Like the average fighter has no idea what I've been through, or it was something just chilling where it was like, oh my god, this guy was like in Russia training from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. in the snow or whatever. It's probably blown out of proportion, but I don't know, man. Makhachev's not going to end his career as champion, I don't think. He's going to lose at some point, and I'm getting plus money on Tsarukyan. It's the only way I can play this fight. I'm not betting it with my own money. I just think this is going to be a really, really close fight. What do you think?
I wanted to lean on the motivation factor in looking into this fight, and I was kind of looking for reasons. I thought in my own head that Islam would have more motivation, and I got to tell you, I think I was wrong. I understand this
Oh,
is a big, big night for Khabib and his family, and his boys, and his team. Islam's not long for this weight class. He's just not. Okay, he is dying to move up in weight. Now, I'm sure he wants to bring the 155 title with him and go after the 170-pound title. But my God, is Arman Tsarukyan. We used to talk about Islam, how much of a freak athlete he is. Have you seen the flexibility and the dynamicness of Arman? See, that's the thing. I don't know if Islam has fought anybody who has the physical prowess of Tsarukyan. The guy is just able to weasel and wiggle out of things. His flexibility is another level. Okay. Go on Countdown and watch him do front handsprings off his head down a gymnasium and put his head in one place and move his feet around the outside.
yes,
It's
that was the
absolutely
crazy
amazing.
one. That was the most insane.
So look, I believe him when he says nobody knows what this training is. He purposely went to altitude in Russia. Okay. He knows that this is going to be a grind. I'm not accusing anyone, but look, today's day and age in sports, it's just the truth. I think both these guys have some enhancements going on that's going to help with durability. This is one I'm not worried about laying the chalk on goes the distance. I do not see a finish in this fight. I think this is going to be an absolute barn burner of a 5-round fight. I am excited for it. I'm here for it. I've heard some takes that it's going to be a striking battle, but when you get tired and beat up, you're going to resort to what you know best. And what these guys know best is scrambling, that ground
Mhm.
scramble. So I agree with you. Give me Arman at the plus money. I won't be betting that, but I'll have this total parlayed somehow.
I just feel like if you bet Marab and Tsarukyan both at plus money, one of them probably wins. I'm guessing that Makachev and Umar is probably gonna be a really popular parlay. I would go the other way and take the 2 plus monies and hope just
Yeah.
get one of them home to uh to cash.
Johnny Public will 100% be on the Makhachev Nurmagomedov parlay.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
100%.
I could see that. All right, let's do our woulda, coulda, shouldas and our parlay busters, and then we'll get out of here. Just a quick reminder again: buy 3 days, get 1 day free. It gets you our 5% max best bet for this card. 31-19 over the last 6 months, and we only had one best bet last week. It hit. We're low volume, but all our official plays we bet with our money. Those are over at wagertalk.com. All right, let's start with woulda, coulda, shoulda. These are plays that are maybe not on everyone's radar, and then afterwards we we look back and we're like, man, why didn't we lay the absolute house on that one? What were we thinking? What's your woulda, coulda, shoulda here on this card? A lot of nominees.
Because this will be the fight that I will be the most mad about. This will be the outcome I will be most mad if Kevin Holland sparks the Ritter in the first round, or Darce chokes them in the first round. So Kevin Holland by finish, I feel like is going to be the one I'm going to look back on and say, trust your instincts, trust your boy. Stick with it.
Wow, Kevin Holland is your
Yeah.
woulda, coulda,
Still
I
haven't
did
bet
not-
it. Still haven't. Got to watch the interview.
All right, well, I'm gonna go with a plus money. I'm gonna go with Zach Reese over. I get an LFA guy who's had 21 professional fights and has not gotten a sniff from the UFC until a short notice replacement that's been there. I can poke holes in his game. I watched him get out wrestled in the second round in the last one. Zach Reese has been preparing for a fight, and at plus 170, I am just absolutely stunned. I get to bet against a guy who went to split decision against Dylan Budka. I will be fine losing money if a guy that went to a split on Dylan Budka beats me. I'm fine
I
with
like that one.
All right, let's do our parlay buster. This is who does everybody put in their parlay? I feel like I can scroll to the top here, but we got to pick one. Who's the one person that you think everyone is going to put in their parlays? And you're here to just warn everybody: be careful on that one. Who you got?
This is
We
hard.
don't. It doesn't have to be at the top. It can be. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. I'll go first.
We already know where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Payton Talbott by KO at minus 185. I think Payton Talbott's not going to knock out every opponent throughout his entire career. Even though Barcelos is older, he's light years better than anybody that Payton Talbott has faced. And I think this would be a really good experience for Payton Talbott to go 3 rounds with a veteran like this. I think Barcelos is going to be able to stay out of harm's way. I think he's going to be able to close the distance, possibly mix in takedown or clinch moments. So I think Talbott's going to be caught a little bit off guard. If he sparks him, fine. But I just know everyone's going to try and figure out a way to bet on Payton Talbott. They're going to go with KO. And I got too much respect for Barcelos. So that's my parlay buster.
Nice. I'll stay away from the obvious ones up top.
Okay.
Go down. Where's our girl? So I think Carol Rosa.
I love this pick.
Yeah.
I love this pick.
Yeah, I just the girl with the wrestling, I got to lean with. I think Perez is going to surprise some people in this fight. I think she could be up 2 rounds going into the third. And if Carol Rosa doesn't step on the gas and finish her, it's going to be 29-28 Perez. So I think this is crazy to lay minus money on Carol Rosa. And she's right in that prime parlayable number right now, too, where you don't want to play her straight. Just throw her in with Makhachev, and then you lose your Makhachev bet.
Just throw her. I love Umar. Who can
This
I
way you
just
can have
throw in
7
there? I know.
losses till you get to that fight. You lose
Yes.
7 bets parlaying them.
Yes, it's the worst when you have a parlay on the main event and you've already cashed the other legs and you're like, oh God, why did I do this to myself? So, all right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for all of our preview videos. Good luck on your plays. We will be live for Takedown Live on the Winning in the Shadows YouTube channel. Live bets, live predictions. Hopefully, I won't have to tell another story like what I told last week, but it's been received very well.
I have all the stories taken. I got plenty of stories for you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jim was in New
Been
Orleans
away for a
so
while. I got
yeah,
stories.
he's got plenty of stories. All right, have a great night, everyone. Good luck on your plays, and we'll see everyone Saturday night on Takedown Live on the Winning in the Shadows YouTube channel. Good luck.
See you there.